rehearsal is what it is. Coug's Corner here with head coach Jake Dickert of Washington State. It's brought to you by the Cougar Collective, also by Flatstick Pub. You can donate today to the Cougar Collective. Just go to cougarcollective.org. Join the 1890 Club for as little as $18.90 a month. And also Flatstick Pub. Visit one of their 6 great locations across the state: Kirkland, Pioneer Square, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. Flatstickpub.com. Just for Jake and I, this is part 2 of the conversation. Will be there. You go. Let's just edit it in. Obviously, not the performance that you guys wanted this past weekend. Let's just jump right into Ashton Jeanty. You've seen a lot of great backs. That performance ranks where for you?
I mean, right now, number 1. Obviously, a little recency bias, but to see a guy, we had him pinned up a couple of times on a couple of those long runs just to take the team on his back, and obviously tackling issues and missing some of those things, but also having the speed to take it to the house. I mean, it's probably number 1. I was kind of telling you a little bit ago, but I equate it to Taiwan Jones, Eastern Washington, when I was at North Dakota State, when they won the national championship that year. Just watching that film, it just created like almost a hesitation. And I think that's where you got to be careful as a coach, not to say, oh man, look how good this is. We can only tackle him one way. Because then I think sometimes you lose your aggressiveness. Right? Let's go take our shots with leverage and go try to dictate to him. I mean, he jumped over us. He stiff-armed us. He outran us. It was a hell of a performance by him, and obviously a good offensive line in order to do some of those things. But some of them were just, we had a couple of guys there, and he just made the play. I mean, I think he's going to be a first-rounder. And, some of the scouts, I was just talking to some of those guys that were here today, kind of equate him to a Saquon Barkley-type player, and that's obviously what you saw a little bit on Saturday.
I think you talked about it after the game, Jake, but are you too much into the season to work and fix tackling?
I don't think you're ever too much into the season to do anything, but you always got to be aware of the physicality. I mean, you can't just go a bunch of live tackling. You don't just say, hey, in our bye week, let's strap on the pads and let's go, out there and just smack each other. A bunch of old school, like Pop Warner hamburger drills.
So no Oklahoma drill?
Yeah, that's outlawed now. I mean, we've lost some of that physicality in football. But, I think, there's tackling issues sometimes, but it's strike points, it's aim points, it's putting your head down, it's losing leverage. There's a lot of things that we got to drill and improve on. Can we get it all the way to where we need it to be after week 5? Probably not. But can we take steps forward? Absolutely. And everyone in this building walked in today taking it personal. We're better than that. We know we are. I believe in this team. I believe in these defensive players. And we got to take a step forward. So, the bye week comes at the perfect time. I'm okay. We got to stew in this loss a little bit because every member of our team, when they show up tomorrow morning at practice for our first practice back, will tell me what type of competitor they are. Are they still pouting around? Got no time for it. They're willing to come out there and attack the work and see where we're deficient and get better. That's what I got time for. So we're going to reveal who we are as a team, and I think I know exactly how our team's going to show up tomorrow morning.
Was there a play or a moment that you thought kind of turned that game?
Well, I mean, sure, everyone can point to the 4th down stop. It was a slugfest. It really was. Besides that, I would probably point to the end of the half. We deferred, so we got the ball coming back out of the half. We're looking at 2 straight possessions, and our offense has proven, analytically, we're going to score on one of those possessions. John just forced one right before the end of the half off of a shot play. Just didn't make a great read. He's owned that. And then to come out of the half and not get points, those are 2 big possessions, and, towards the end of the 3rd quarter, you're looking at 3 more possessions in the game. I trust, and I stand by that decision that we can get 3 inches. I don't care where this is at. We got to get that sneak going forward, not lateral. And they made the play. We didn't. And I still trust that our defense could go out there and get a stop. And we just kind of broke down on 3rd down and gave up a touchdown. So that was a big swing, but we still fought back. The next series went down, scored 24-17, and Jeanty hit the wild run when we had him fenced up in the middle of the field and kind of broke us a little bit. And then that defense, once they know you only have to pass, I think is very challenging. So I think that's what you saw towards the end of the game. And unfortunately, it got away from us. I think it was a closer ball game than what the score indicated.
You talked a lot about last year about the physicality, those short yardage plays, right? That was an emphasis on the season. Did you feel maybe you took a step back in that department against that game?
Well, I would say it's recency bias again. When we went for it at the 30-yard line against Portland State and got it, nobody said anything. When we ran a sneak at the 34-yard line in the first quarter against Texas Tech and got it, nobody said anything, right? We did it against, Boise earlier in the game at the 38-yard. I mean, it's part of who we are. So, so far this year, backed up 4th and 1s, we're 4 out of 5. The one miss stings. And I'll take that. That's my job. I understand the criticism that's involved in my decisions. So that's the way we're going to play. That's the trust I have in our guys. And, that's kind of how we move forward with it. But physicality over time throughout the course of the game, Puck, not just on one play, that defines you. And I think they attacked us more than we attacked them on both sides of the ball.
How do you adjust at all what you want to do defensively? Do you say you want to attack more? They seem like they were, Jake, coming from all different angles. Like you never really could pick up where they were coming from, Boise State's defensively. Do you try to maybe emulate that at all defensively at all, or what adjustments do you think you guys could look at moving forward, maybe to create more havoc maybe in the backfield?
I mean, right now the numbers say we only have 5 sacks. It's an unacceptable number through 5 games. And, we played some good teams, but we got to be able to get after some people. So, obviously when you're a 4 down front, you can't create that with 4 guys. You got to create it in the 5th. You can't create it with 5. You better bring 6, but you have to be able to disrupt the passer. And we were never able to really get to the Boise State guy. I mean, their boot max pro scheme kind of leads to a little bit of that. I'm just looking at the breadth of 5 games now that we're at the bye week. There hasn't been enough. And I thought a little bit, I alluded to it at halftime, we pressed a little bit as a football team. We knew when they wanted to pressure, I thought maybe we throw 30 quick hitches and bubble screens and make them come tackle us. Because I think they had problems on the perimeter tackling us. We just got off of that plan a little bit. And like I said, there's a bunch of great learns for John in this game. I think when your greatest weapon sometimes is your feet, under pressure, you feel like you can escape everything. But they did a good job hemming them in where, hey, we just got to get the ball out on time and on rhythm. And I think he will be a better quarterback because some of these learns from this last game.
Yeah, they were great. They were really good at not allowing him to get out of that initial grasp. Like that was the best that you would acknowledge. That's probably the best anyone's ever defended him this year.
Well, there's no question. And now you start to see what he's capable of doing, and you get more people that have exact plans. We're not going to surprise anybody anymore with John Mateer.
Right.
And I think sometimes through the first 4 games, we relied too much on John making a play. And he will continue to do that. But people will also have plans to eliminate some of those off-script things. So we just got to get him a little bit more on rhythm with the pass game. I think you saw some of it late. You've seen some of those bright spots that we've gone throughout 5 games, so it's there. So we just got to continue to get better. But we can't press. We got to play the game. We got to play within ourselves. And unfortunately, winning on the road is always hard. We're going to have a bunch of these road games. I don't care who's in front of us. You got to go out there and take it.
Yeah, it was a great one. I mean, if that is the game one of a great rivalry between these 2 schools, I mean, I love the name, the Snake River rivalry or Snake River shootout. That was great. I mean, it should be a fantastic series. The environment was great. I think it was the largest attendance they've ever had there at Boise, but it was a phenomenal football game. I mean, obviously you want a different outcome.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've done a good job, Puck, of just kind of putting it all out there and being really proud of their football tradition and supporting it from in-game, from the jumbotrons to the illegal noise they were playing until 8 seconds left on the clock. Like, they pushed the envelope there, and they show up. Let's be honest, they show up, and that's a big deal. I think it's a great learn for Cougs, and we can support it at that level too.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you guys focus in on here on the bye week? I think people would love to know what do coaches do? What do players do during this week?
First of all, I hate the name bye week. There's nothing to buy about it. I mean,
you're working harder than ever.
From a coach's standpoint, sometimes it's the busiest week you ever have because we're starting our game plans for Fresno. I mean, you got to put the tape to bed. You got to identify a self-scout through 5 games. Hey, here's what we're doing well. Here's what we're not doing well. Here's what we need to stop doing because this is beating ourselves. So there's a self-scout period. There's a move into your next opponent. Fresno is obviously a very quality component coming off a tough loss as well. I think they're a better football team than what they displayed last game. after Thursday's practice, every coach hits the road, including myself. I'll be on the west side watching games all weekend. We're going to get to our, committed guys and watch them play, come back, walk through Sunday night, week of practice. So I call it a little bit of improvement week for the players, and sometimes it's a little bit of a stressful week for coaches. But that signing day is quickly approaching, so we got a bunch of recruiting stuff and different things that we need to do.
How quickly do you put the last game, especially a loss, in the rearview mirror? I mean, fans, I think, dwell on it longer. It seems like than coaches and players, because you got to quickly turn it. Next page, we got to get ready for the next opponent. But like that Sunday night or that Saturday night, is it a restless night? Are you up all night thinking about the game, looking at tape, seeing what you could have done better?
No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, especially when you don't play the way you're capable of playing, I think as a head coach, man, that'll keep you up at night. And you kind of look through your week of preparation, you look through where they beat you, you look through the adjustments that you need to make or didn't make. And those things just keep wheeling through your mind. So woke up Sunday, we had a coach's day off, and it was, I made myself not watch any of the film till the afternoon. So I hung out with the family a little bit, got to play some football with the boys, and then it was, okay, we got to figure these things out. So it's just a constant, turn of a little bit of balance, a little bit of recharge. Like I said, I didn't get back home till about 2:30 in the morning. So it's one of those things, a quick early morning, and you just kind of keep moving on.
It's got to be hard, though, right? It's got to be hard you don't ever really turn it off, do you?
No, you don't turn it off. I mean, there's a couple good coaches. I read some books like balance is an illusion. There's no such thing, Puck, as balance in a head coach's life at Division I. There just isn't. And if you try to say there is, that's when you'll lose. You'll feel like you're losing, right? For me, I've always went for I got to be present. Okay, so when I carve out an hour to go watch my daughter's volleyball game, be there. Okay, be in that hour of that thing before I move on back to football. Or, I'm hanging out that Sunday morning with the boys, be there, be present. Don't think about anything else but being in that moment. But there is no balance in this job. That's why I'm not going to do it till I'm 70. Sorry, Cougs. I got 10 more years. I got 10 more years. And
that's your time frame? 10 years?
Yeah, it is. It is. You're gonna see me. My boys are gonna be a junior or a senior and a sophomore in 10 years, and that's when I just feel like I'll be ready for a break. That don't mean I'll be done forever, but I pour everything into this, Puck. Yeah. I can guarantee Cougs fans that there's no one's wasting time here or wasting money. We're putting everything we can into it. My family sacrifices greatly for this. This is part of it. We know that. But at the end of the day, this will be another 10-year run, and then we'll find something to do. I'll put headphones on like you, and then just get to be able to criticize everyone's play calling.
Hey, that's good. You know what? It's so fun. You love it.
It is great.
God, you'll love it. You'll love every second of it.
I will.
It's so much easier to sit back here and criticize. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. You'll enjoy it. I promise. You will have a blast doing it. 10 years. Is it 10 years? Is it 10 years here?
Yeah, I mean that's always the plan.
Okay.
That's always the plan. This is where I want to be. I like I said before on this deal, I just want to continue to invest. I mean, this new Pac-12, another big news today with obviously Gonzaga on the basketball side. Yeah. We're going to continue to do it right, but we got to stay ahead of it. And any one of our boosters or fans that are at Boise, we got to stay ahead of all that, and we have the opportunity to do it. So. That's all we need here.
Well, I mean, people hear that, and you've always been on. You committed. You love being here. Your family loves being here. But as every win comes, well, when is he? Hey, that job's coming up. Oh, they're going to look at him. Oh, they're going to look at him. And it's natural because of the success you've had. It's natural because of the coach you are, and just your personality. So people are going to be attracted to you.
And here's what I'll say about that too, Puck, though, is we've also created a little bit of everyone's in such a damn hurry as coaches.
Sure.
Where, the portal and the this and that. And if, what happens, like I said, on paper, we have 90% of our production coming back next year, right? Yeah. 10 years ago, as a coach, I mean, it was just great. You knew your guys were going to be back and you just kept going. And I feel very strongly about our guys being here. But I think it makes a lot of coaches make a lot of bad decisions for their future because, oh my God, I can't guarantee anything. So, and there's a couple examples. I don't want to bring up other people, but some people, if you have a little bit more patience, you end up with maybe your dream job. And I got it great here. I do. Like, I really mean that. They let me do my job with a bunch of great people, with great kids that work hard.
Yeah.
So we do love it here. So I just think the college football game has created a lot of impatience for coaches, and they get themselves in bad spots.
Yeah, and I just think it's the old cliche that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. I think so. And listen, you guys, you're well compensated. You guys make enough money, and but you're doing what you love, and I think it's with anything, right? It's whether it's coaching, business, what have you, media. It's like, how much is enough?
No doubt.
Like, and then I think for some, they just, whether it's an ego thing, that's probably a lot of that. It's like, what's the next challenge, instead of just like, I enjoy it here. It's fun here. We have success here. It's hard for some people to realize.
And I think as soon as people start thinking about that stuff, like, you're not, where your toes are. I mean, you obviously get beat. So we're here. We're all in on it. And like I said, we're only about 10 weeks from signing day, so it's a crunch.
How's that looking for you guys?
It's been great. We got 17 commitments. We're excited about getting to that signing day. I'm actually excited about moving it up because there's less stress and worry about it. And we'll add probably about 5 to 8 more high school kids, and then we'll always be artful in the portal. But to say from Washington State's perspective that we'll ever just say, let's go remedy this problem, whatever it is on your team in the portal, is not that easy. So we feel really good about investing in our guys. I think we have a lot of guys that, through fair market value, will be owed quite a bit, and that's why the Cougar Collective. Like, that's why those beers in the background. Yeah. I don't know no one ever comes down there and drinks your beers in the background there.
No, they don't take those. Those are just for show. But when desperate times, when it hits and I don't have anything left, I'm sorry to Luke and everyone in the Cougar Collective, I'll have to tap into those.
It's okay.
But they got to go in the fridge.
At the end of the day, Puck, that's what they're there for, man. That case behind you should actually be empty as a display, and you should have drank all those. I mean, no one knows there's actually
that's empty. First of all, that's empty. That one's empty. But like, eventually I'll tap into the other ones. But the problem is they're warm. So and no one likes warm beer. And sorry to the Germans, no one likes warm beer. And my family is.
If I'm honest with you, Puck, like, the beer out of the tap should be frosted over. Like, if you've ever sat in a Packer game in December and your beer starts frosting, like, we're winning. We're winning big time.
You'll enjoy this being from there. My first time I went to Wisconsin, the first time the Cougs played there. This was I'm gonna butcher the year. I'm just gonna say 2008 or 2009. Okay. Bill Dobe was still the coach, and we go first atmosphere. So we're right out of college, idiots like we all are. And I remember after the game down on the main street. What is it? State Street?
State Street. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sitting in a bar, and I'm watching. I'll always remember this. I'm watching the Cal Bears take on Tennessee. That was like the late game when we're in there watching it. And I watched this guy. I've never seen anybody do this before. And there was multiple people doing it in the Midwest. This guy would walk up and go, I want a Miller Lite with ice and a shot of Jack Daniels. And I watched this guy like 15 times come up and do this. And I'm like, this guy's a machine. But the ice in the beer, is that common there?
We're built a little different. Have you ever seen like the olives in the beer? Right, that'll throw some people off, but they love a little salt in the olives with the beer.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Hopefully you went to State Street brats.
Because,
mustard, onions, sauerkraut. That's it.
Yeah.
If you throw anything else on there, Puck, you're just messing around and you're making it bad. So you need to stay in the core 3 there. That's what I like to call it on a good bratwurst.
Well, I mean, bratwurst or hot dogs. I have a real staunch policy. Once you're after the age of 10, there's no more ketchup on the hot dog. There's just no more.
I would agree. And relish to me is a crime. I don't get into it. It takes over the flavor. Like it's a straight no-go when you do those things.
Okay, now we're on this subject. What do you think of the Chicago dog? Are we into that? Do we want salad on our hot dog?
We've gone way too far. Anything that really is from Chicago, you know where I'm from, Milwaukee. So like we're not doing anything like that. We've gone completely too far. Hot peppers, no.
Just too much.
Keep it easy.
I'll tell you what's one of the most fun experience I had when my son and I went to the Midwest a few years ago on a trip. When you guys played Wisconsin and won, we went to Wrigley, went to Field of Dreams. But that Miller Park, that's what I couldn't understand was, and wrap my head around, is that the person at the hotel was like, "Oh, no, just go. Like, how do I get to the game?" They're like, "Well, walk down to that bar. If you order a beer, they're gonna take you to the game." I'm like, "Really?" Like, yeah, they got buses. And so every bar around there's got a bus that they take everyone to the game. And I mean, they've got their own road into the stadium, drops you off and takes you back. And the driver was telling me, because I'm watching the parking lot, and I'm like, there's people tailgating out here. This is a baseball game. Like, no one tailgates for a baseball game. The guy was like, oh, it's such a problem that they had to change the rules a couple of years ago. If you had a ticket, you had to be in by the third inning, because people will stay out there all game long and not ever come in.
Oh, there's no question. And it's when you grow up there, and once again, it opens 4 hours before the game. I'm tailgating for a baseball game 4 hours before the game. That's the event. And yes, I've been late for every first pitch I've ever been to. So yeah, you can go pregame at the local establishment. They will take you there. Yeah. As long as they also take you back there. That's how they get you, right?
Yeah, that's great.
But then the tailgating is just insane. So the first time I went to like Minnesota Twins, I was like, we park in a parking ramp and we walk into the game. I said, where do people tailgate? I couldn't fathom that this wasn't what everybody did. Like, it just wasn't even crossing my radar. You big city guys, we can't.
I've never seen tailgating at a baseball game in my life. I mean, the tailgating, you Midwesterners, you love your tailgating. Tailgating and hot dish and then ice in your beer.
Don't get me started with the hot dishes. That is phenomenal. My grandma.
Well, I do like it too.
Take the cake. I actually call them casseroles. I'm a little German side there, so it's okay. It's okay. Have you ever had? Here would be the most Midwest German thing ever for you. Have you ever had a raw beef sandwich on rye bread, onion?
No.
So like my great uncle's straight German raw beef sandwich. I can't get into it. It stopped with our generation. I'm like, this tradition stops now. So
that's when your grandfather got sick one day, or grandmother.
That's right.
Said, we're not going to do it.
That's why no Dickert male has made it past 78. I finally figured it out.
I love a good hot dish. My wife's family, all from Minnesota. A great hot dish.
Oh yeah,
I love it, man. Hot dish and gin and tonics and cribbage. Those are like the three things in the summer.
My family would be like Christmas. They go through tons of brandy old fashions. It's brandy old fashioned.
Oh, brandy old fashioned.
So same thing. I like buck all the big Dickert traditions. I can't do those either, but yeah, I'm telling you, there's a lot of EJ's Brandy free pub out there that just gets crushed in Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
I think I'd love to visit the Dickert family for Christmas. Did you tell, getting back to football, do you tell John, hey, let's kick up the feet here for a week? Relax. Yeah. We get in the ice tub.
Yeah, just really kind of all of our guys a little bit. Yeah. We'll be out there and do a hour run through tomorrow, okay. And then Thursday we'll put the pads on. We'll do about, an hour for the older guys, and then we'll play a lot of our twos need to play more football, right? Uh-huh. So they will play, and then the threes will go against threes, and then we'll have what we call a scout bowl. So our scout guys, our young guys that aren't traveling, they'll get in a live scrimmage, and
that's cool.
There's nothing better because those guys need to play more football.
Leach used to do that. Was it every week, every Thursday?
Yeah, he did Thursday night football.
Thursday night football, yeah.
So we do it every home game and bye week. That's okay. When we do our kind of scout bowls, and those guys need to get coached. They need to see themselves play, and I think it's a big kind of morale boost. All the old guys are out there. They remember their days in the old scout bowl, and our guys get kind of fired up for each other.
Speaking of the NIL, and I don't know how you can't address the specific person. The situation at UNLV, the situation that we've seen now, there's a few players who whether they've received their money or not received their money, you've got players now electing to redshirt, to say, I'm done right now. And that situation with the quarterback at UNLV saying, hey, I was promised this, I didn't get it, I'm going to redshirt, and then I'm going to go into the portal. Listen, there are so many great things about the NIL and the collectives and what it means for these student athletes. There can be an ugly side to it. How you've put yourself in this position, no doubt, when you saw this story. How would I react to this? Yeah. All you coaches do it. How do you make sense of that? How do you rationalize that?
Well, I think it's a great learning moment. and we talked about it as a staff on how we handle, talking to kids about it. I do it, and I do it alone, right? And, it's a good learn, too, of judging situations, because if I was promised whatever money, WSU didn't give it to me, I wouldn't show up for work the next day. Yeah. So there's a business side, Puck, that I think we all have to be completely understand that times have changed. Yeah. Also a great learn. I'll talk to our players about it someday. Guys, you go into a deal with somebody, you need that deal in writing, right? You need a contract. You need a signed agreement. Otherwise, nothing's valid. John just got a great partnership with Northern Quest. Really excited about that. But you need people that handle some of these type of things because they are 18 to 23-year-old kids. They just hear one thing and, so I don't know anything about that situation, but these are the things that I talk about with the players. I talk about with the coaches, and you got to do things fair and upfront. So I don't judge that situation or the kid really. I just know that if I thought that I was going to get something and didn't get it, like that's a tough conversation to have. You get portrayed as a quitter. But at the end of the day, like, I don't think you would show up to work the next day if all of a sudden they just didn't pay you. Sure. Right. So there's a balance to all this stuff. And there's a lot of great learns here because I can't wait till there's a story in a couple of years about the first kid not paying his taxes. Right. Because guess what? You got to pay your taxes. Right. And that is going to happen. It just is going to happen. And then that's going to be a major story about how nobody helped them and gave them the resources. And so all these things come out of our guys are now professional student athletes. That's what I like to say. There's no more student athlete. These guys are professional student athletes. Scholarships are looked at more as business deals. There's tons of business deals happening. Cougar Collective does a great deal with our guys and other businesses that you talk about working with our players. But there's a lot of learns from this one situation. And hopefully there's some betterment that comes out of this bad situation for a school.
Do you press Mateer on that barbecue deal he's got there, that NIL? Huh? You hit him up. Hey, why don't you give us some free barbecue?
And said, hey, Coach, hey, Sunday they let me bring one person up to eat for free. I was unavailable that day, but he's thought of me a time or two, which is a good thing.
Good. So you've got the bye week. You'll be over on the west side recruiting. And then it's back to Fresno State, which again, Fresno State presents its own challenge. I mean, another great football tradition, right? You got back-to-back kind of the heavyweights in the Mountain West that you know a ton about, right? With Boise and then Fresno State.
And I think there's no question, like the Mountain West at the time when it was still intact, like they made us in Oregon State go to the hardest places, right? And Fresno State is one of those tough places to play. They'll yell at you. It's like a Raiders situation. Like I remember because you got to walk up through the crowd to get to the press box.
Really?
I was at Wyoming. Oh, they're just giving me the business. Like, you know what I mean? So it is one of those hostile places to play. That makes it fun. They got a great environment. But more so than not, Puck, I said this last week about San Jose or a couple of weeks ago, a program that knows how to win. Yeah. Okay, so however you do it, winning's hard. I don't care who you beat. They know how to win the last 5 years. They've been a really good team. Bowl game, I believe, every year. They didn't perform their best, UNLV, so they'll be ready to go for us just like we need to be ready to go for them. So anytime you got a good, team that knows how to win, plays physical at the line of scrimmage, it's going to be a tough matchup.
Yeah. Hey, last thing for you, because you brought it up, I didn't circle back to it. It doesn't affect football, but it affects the conference. Your reaction, thoughts on Gonzaga joining the Pac-12?
I think it's a big deal. It really is. I know they were, some of the crown jewels when you talk basketball and building out, obviously the big revenue generating sports. We got some work to do in the football realm. I'm not giving up yet on those AC schools. I'm not giving up just yet. I don't have any inside information. Oh. But just know that, like, we're putting together a great football product along with basketball product, and they're a big piece of it. So anytime the momentum can keep going in our direction, I think it's a big-time deal. So really happy to have them. I don't know anything more about that besides that's a big-time brand of basketball. They've been top 5 nationally the last few years, and Cougs are going to have to make a decision, Puck. I'm just telling you, there ain't no more playing both sides of this fence. It's Spokane.
Oh, are there people that do that? I don't know. Do people are there some that root for the Zags?
I feel like this puts it directly on us. If you're in Spokane, you can't have a Coug flag and a Zags flag. Right?
No.
Right? Not that we would. But you know what I mean?
I'd put them on a barge in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and never let them come back. That's what I would do with those people. Come on. You can't.
It's going to be a fun rivalry. I
Great.
can't wait to see them this year. I think they come down to Beasley.
Yep.
It's going to be packed. It's going to be awesome. So another great kind of regional rivalry that I think is going to really elevate our conference.
Thank you so much for the time. As always, appreciate it. I thought part 2 was better than part 1.
Always is. We keep getting better. That's what it takes, Puck. You can never stay the same. We were getting better or getting worse. So yeah. I think our trajectory is going up.
It is. Coug's Corner with Jake Dickert is proudly brought to you by the Cougar Collective. Visit cougarcollective.org. Join the 1890 Club for as little as $18.90 a month. Also, Flat Stick Pub, 6 great locations: Kirkland, Pioneer Square, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. FlatStickPub.com. All right. Enjoy somewhat of a bye week. And good luck on the recruiting side on the west side, and then we'll see what you guys can do next week against Fresno State. Good luck against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, we look forward to getting back on track. Go Cougs!
Go Cougs! There he is, Jake Dickert, with us every week. We do Coug's Corner. You can check it out on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts, and of course up at pucksports.com.